Serial killers are bad, but serial commas are good. Never heard of a serial comma? Come visit. Welcome to Jenn's Writing World. If you have a story to tell, you are in the right place. Let's do it 10 minutes at a time. Well, in the spirit of total transparency, I have to admit that this is the second time I'm recording this video. And no, I didn't accidentally delete it the first time. I forgot where the camera on my phone was, and so my eyeballs were looking in 100% the wrong direction the whole time. And I was editing it, and finally, even I couldn't stand it. It was horrible. So we're doing it again, and this time, hopefully, I'm looking right at you and not over at some random object that makes you wonder what is over there. So here we go. Today, we're not going to write for 10 minutes. We're going to talk about a handy writing tool. Before I go any further, I want to remind you that everything I talk about here is optional. None of this is an excuse to not write. You may not own this book, you may not have read this book, but you can still write whenever we have 10 minutes to do so. And I hope that you do. It is kind of odd that I'm recommending a grammar book because I actually don't believe that you need grammar books anymore. Strunk and White is a great tool, but if you really want to know how to use a semicolon properly or whether you should use an M dash or an N dash, all you have to do is Google it, and the internet will tell you the answer a lot faster than you getting up, going to your bookshelf, finding your grammar book, flipping through to the index, and hoping that they can answer the question. Plus, because grammar rules change all the time, going to the internet means you're going to get the most up-to-date explanation you can get. Whereas, while Strunk and White is gorgeous and lovely and short, and a classic, some of the advice is a little antiquated. However, today I am going to recommend a grammar book to you. Partly because it is a really good grammar book, came out in 2019, so it is still up to date, but also because it is a really good read. All right, enough stalling. What is the book? The book is Dreyer's English. I learned about this book when I heard an interview on the Grammar Girl podcast with Benjamin Dreyer, the author. He is the copy chief at Random House, a place I personally would love to get published. It's on my bucket list. Of course, I have to write the book first, but I thought it would be neat to read a book filled with grammar recommended by one of the big 5 publishing houses. This book is also useful if you don't ever want to be published by a New York publisher. If you are an indie writer, if you are small press, if you are university press, this book is going to be extremely helpful for learning grammar. However, as I said, this is not some dry textbook. This is an entertaining read. In fact, one of my favorite parts about this book is that he tends to break the fourth wall, something that I love it when books do. And so down at the bottom of a lot of the pages, there are footnotes in which he talks about what he wrote up in the book. Some of the comments are a little snarky, some of them elaborate on what he was talking about, but all of them are an entertaining read. Not only did I learn something, but very often this book made me laugh. And yes, I did read it in public, and people gave me strange looks when I was laughing in a grammar book. But it is true, this book is educational, entertaining, and pretty darn funny. So maybe you don't believe me that a book on grammar can be entertaining and funny. Well, let me tell you, he managed to do it. And one of the ways that he does this is he tells you about all the rules that you can break. Matter of fact, he starts talking about non-rules on the first page, which I think is a really great way to encourage everybody to keep reading. However, another reason why I love this book is that he has one rule that for him is non-negotiable. And that rule has to do with the series comma. Now, you may not have heard of a series comma, or as I called it in the beginning, the serial comma. But you've probably heard of the Oxford comma, and that's what he's talking about. Let me read what he says. possibly you know this comma as the Oxford comma, because we're told it's traditionally favored by the editors of the University of Oxford Press. But as a patriotic American, and also because that attribution verges on urbane legendarianism, I'm loath to perpetuate the story. Or you may be familiar with the term serial comma. Though for me, serial evokes killer, so no again. Whatever you want to call it, use it. I don't want to belabor the point. Neither am I willing to negotiate it. Only godless savages eschew the series comma. Now, I know from my own writing group and from just people I meet on the street, when it comes to the Oxford comma, there are two groups. There are people who think it should be used all of the time, and there are people who think it's optional. And both of these people are willing to die on their hill. I happen to like his opinion and agree with it that it is not optional. You should be using it. But I do want to say that he does go on to explain why you should be using it all the time. So I hope that even if you think the Oxford comma, or as I think we should call it from now on, the series comma, is optional, I hope you will give his book a try, because he does make some really good points. All right, I'm putting the book down now. I could go on and on about how much I love this book. If you've been in my writing group, you know that I have done so. I'm not going to do it here. Here, we're going to be short and to the point. You should read this book. It is available on Amazon. It's probably available wherever you get books. It is in hard copy. It is in Kindle form. It is in audio. I highly recommend listening to the book. I don't recommend getting it as a Kindle because it's the same price as the hardback. And why would you pay for digital? Don't get me started. Anyway, the other reason to get this in hardback is because of the dust jacket. If you are the kind of person who likes the feel of books, this dust jacket is not your traditional glossy jacket. It has kind of a matte look with a rough feel, and it is very nice to the touch. I'm not one of those crazy people who smell books and have to have the paper version. I read ebooks all the time, but this book really is lovely to the touch. Also, and I highly recommend this, especially if you are a little skeptical and don't quite believe what I'm claiming, it's at the library. So go support your local library and check out the book. Pick it up at curbside if that's what they're doing. Go into the library if you're able to. And if you are, I envy you. But whatever you do and however you can do it, read this book. You will not be disappointed. And you might just learn something that you can apply to our 10-minute writing sessions. And that would be the best of all worlds. I mentioned up above how I learned about Dreyer's English because I listened to an interview on the Grammar Girl podcast. I'm going to put a link down below with that interview so you can listen to it yourself, in case you need more convincing or you just want to listen to a great interview. I hope that you learned something today. I hope that I encouraged you to try a book that maybe you wouldn't pick up initially. Or if you've heard of the book, but you haven't had a chance to read it yet, I hope I've convinced you that you should move it up on your to-be-read pile. If that is the case, I'd love for you to subscribe and hit the little bell down below so that you get notifications when my next video comes out. It will be tomorrow. And if you think this video is worthy, I would appreciate a like. YouTube likes it when you hit the little like thumbs up button, but only do it if you really want to. And as always, and as I'm going to ask continually, I would love it if you would share my channel with other writers that you know. We are going to be writing Tuesday and Friday. We're going to be writing every day in April. But I don't want to spoil the surprise. You'll learn about that next Wednesday. I have grand plans for the channel. I have grand plans for building a community of writers who want to write together and support each other. So the best way we can do that is by sharing it with everyone you know. And I do encourage comments. I don't know if I've said that before, but down below you can leave a comment and I read them all, and I want to get encouragement on how I can improve the channel. And today, and maybe only today, unless we get into it on a grammar day, you can write about your opinion of the Oxford or series comma. Are you pro-Oxford comma? Are you anti-Oxford comma? Leave a comment. Let me know what team you're on, but also be kind. It is amazing the fights that can break out over this itty bitty little bit of punctuation. No fighting here. We're all friends. We're all on the same journey. But it is interesting to know what people think about something as contentious as a series comma. Speaking of grammar, tomorrow that's what we're going to talk about. I promise it will be painless and it might even be a little fun. So that's all from Jenn's writing world. Until next time, write, write, write.